everyone, thanks for joining us again today for our chapter book story time here at the Caribou Public Library. I'm Miss Erin, and I'm so glad that you decided to listen. So we're continuing with the Great Illustrated Classics version of The Jungle Book by Rudyard Kipling. Today we're on chapter 10, and chapter 10 is titled Messua's Rescue. Here's a picture that we will start with. When Mowgli left the Council Rock with Akela and his cub brothers, he returned to the cave to tell Father and Mother Wolf all that had happened to him during his 3 months with Man, ending with his stoning at the village gate and his farewell to Messua. "I would have taken my revenge on the Man Pack," said Mother Wolf, "although I would have spared the woman who took you in and cared for you as her son." "Peace, Raksha," said Father Wolf. "Our frog has come home again. Leave Man alone." "Yes, leave Man alone," agreed Baloo and Bagheera, joining them at the cave. Mowgli smiled. "For my part, I never wish to see or hear or smell Man ever again." "That may not be possible," said Akela. "As I followed you up here, Mang, the bat, flew down and told me that men with guns were seated around a mighty red flower in the village." Do you remember what the red flower is? Right, a fire. So a campfire or a bonfire. "Guns can only mean trouble for us. In fact, Mang said he saw one village man following our trail up to the cave as he flew up to warn me." "But why?" said Mowgli angrily. "They cast me out. Why would they follow me? What do they want with me now?" "It's not within the power of jungle people to know why men act as they do," said Akela. "You are one of them, so it is for you to understand." Mowgli's hand went for his knife. His eyes blazed with fury as he raged. "Don't ever speak of Man and Mowgli in the same breath." "Akela, or your hide will feel my blade." "Enough!" cried Bagheera. Then he jumped up and began sniffing the air. The wolves did the same. "Man," growled Akela, "following our trail up from the village." Mang was right. Mowgli shielded his eyes from the bright sunshine as he gazed down the hillside and noticed something moving in the thicket. "It's Buldeo," he announced. "I can see the sun's rays flashing off his gun." Mowgli's 4 cub brothers began running down the hill in the underbrush. "Where are you going?" called Mowgli. "We'll be back with his head for you before midday," said Gray Brother. "No, no," shrieked Mowgli. "Come back. Man doesn't eat man." "The man cub is right," said Bagheera. "Besides, men hunt in packs, and others will follow. If we kill this one now, we won't know what the others are planning. Let's wait and see what this hunter does." Here is Mowgli feeling angry and Bagheera saying enough. The 4 wolf cubs reluctantly came back and sat at Mowgli's feet, waiting for his orders. "We'll go after him together, my cub brothers," he said, along with Bagheera. So Mowgli and his friends made their way noiselessly through the jungle, encircling around Buldeo's path, until they had the older hunter surrounded. Mowgli parted the underbrush and saw Buldeo running along, his musket on his shoulder. Suddenly, the old man stopped and stared at the ground. He had lost the trail, which Akela had deliberately mixed up on their return from the village. Buldeo knelt down and peered at the dirt. "That pack of wolves tricked me," he wailed angrily, "but I need to rest a while before I try to pick up their trail again." Buldeo took out his water pipe and lit it. Soon his anger left him, and he began to chuckle and talk to himself. "Brave hunter that I am, I know my villagers won't be disappointed that they sent me out to kill the devil child who leads the wolf pack. What that boy doesn't know is that we've imprisoned Messua and her husband in their hut, and we'll make them confess to witchcraft. Then, once I've killed the boy, we'll burn the parents and take their land and buffaloes. Ha! And I'll get my share too." That's horrible. Mowgli translated Buldeo's words for his brothers, although he couldn't understand why Messua and her husband were to be punished. But Buldeo says the villagers won't do anything until he gets back, so that gives me time to get there and rescue those 2 good people. As for the rest of you, I need you to yelp and howl and frighten old Buldeo until he runs up the nearest tree in fear for his life. Then keep him there long enough for me to get to the village and rescue Messua." Here he is explaining his plan to the wolves. Bagheera and the wolves were delighted to help with the plan. The more they howled, the more Buldeo began running and waving his musket in every direction. The more he ran, the louder they howled. Finally, the old man climbed up a tree to save himself. Meanwhile, Mowgli was hurrying through the jungle, pleased that his 3 months in the village hadn't slowed his legs at all. It was twilight when he reached the gate and saw that everyone was crowded around the village tree, chattering and shouting. Mowgli was glad for the distraction as he crept along the outer wall until he came to Messua's hut. He looked through the window and saw Messua and her husband on the floor, bleeding and groaning. Both were gagged and tied hand and foot. Mowgli silently jumped in through the window, removed their gags, and cut them free. "I knew you'd come, my son," sobbed Messua, pulling Mowgli into her arms. "They've been beating us and stoning us all day." Mowgli saw her bloody cuts, and his whole body began to tremble. "Oh no. Why do I feel this way?" he wondered. Then he asked Messua, "Why are they punishing you like this?" It was her husband who answered angrily. "Because we took you in as our son. They decided we were witches." "I don't understand," said Mowgli. "Messua, you explain it to me." "Because you were my son, and because I loved you and raised you, they said I was the mother of a devil and had to die." "We're as good as dead already," said the husband gloomily. Oh dear, here they are inside the hut. "No," said Mowgli. He pointed out the window and went on. "Out there is the road into the jungle, your road to freedom. Go." "We don't know our way through the jungle as you do, my son," Messua began. "And the villagers will come after us and drag us back here," added her husband. "I don't think so," said Mowgli. "They'll have other things to worry about in a very short time. Ha! I hear many shouts from the village tree. It seems that my friends have finally let Buldeo come home." "He was sent out this morning to kill you. Did you meet him?" asked Messua. "In a way, yes, but now I want to hear what tale he's telling the villagers. While I'm gone, you decide where you want to go and tell me when I come back." Mowgli jumped out through the window and ran along the outer wall until he was close to the tree. Stretched out against the trunk was Buldeo, waving his arms at the crowd and groaning as he showed his scraped hands and legs. In between groans, he was telling tales of singing devils who had trapped him in an enchanted tree. "Is that really what happened?" "Bah," said Mowgli. "Men talk the same foolishness as the Bandarlog, and they act foolishly too, listening to all of Buldeo's lies. But their stupidity gives me time to help Messua escape." Here is Buldeo telling lies. Mowgli hurried back to the hut. Just as he was about to climb through the window, he felt a familiar touch on his foot. It was Mother Wolf. "What are you doing here?" he asked. "I followed my favorite cub, Little Frog, for I wished to see the woman who saved your life and who helped to raise you. These villagers mean to kill her and her husband, but I have freed them and will send them on their way through the jungle." "I'll follow and protect them. I may be old, but my teeth are still sharp," she said. "Then wait here, but don't let them see you. It might frighten them." So Mother Wolf backed out into the high grass and hid. Here he is, talking to Mother Wolf outside their window. Mowgli swung into the hut again and asked Messua, "What have you both decided?" "The town of Kaniwara is 30 miles from here. It is governed by the English, who are fair rulers. They don't burn or beat people. They believe in a fair trial. If we can reach Kaniwara tonight, we'll be saved." Sounds like a good plan. "You shall be saved," said Mowgli. "But what is your husband doing?" He pointed to the man who was on his hands and knees digging up the earth in one corner of the hut. The man glared up angrily. "It's my money, you fool, and I'll need it to buy a horse. I'm all bruised and I can't walk 30 miles. "They will not follow you, but a horse is a good idea, for Messua is hurt and tired." Mowgli helped Messua and her husband out the window, then followed behind them. "Do you know the trail to Kaniwara?" he asked. When they both nodded, he went on. "There is no need to hurry or to be afraid of any voices you hear in the jungle." Messua smiled at Mowgli and nodded, but her husband snarled, "Well, I'd rather be killed by beasts than by men." Here he is digging up the money in the corner of the hut. Now listen well, said Mowgli, in a voice much like the one Baloo used when he was teaching his lessons. No beast in the jungle will attack you. They will all be watching over you. I know that you believe me, Messua, even if your husband doesn't. As Messua hugged her son and sobbed, her husband shook his fist and swore, I'll return one day and bring the law down on the head of every man in this village. I'll get my land and cattle back. I'll have justice. Mowgli laughed. I don't know what justice is, but I don't think you'll see very much left here if you ever do return. As the two started off into the jungle, Mother Wolf leapt out of her hiding place. Follow them, said Mowgli, and see to it that all the jungle keeps them safe. Mother Wolf howled Mowgli's orders through the jungle. When Messua's husband heard it, he turned as if to run back in fright. But Mowgli shouted cheerfully, That's only the jungle singing words to protect you. It will follow you to Kaniwara. Here's where he's telling Mother Wolf to protect them. So do you think they'll make it? Yeah. All right, well, next time we'll be reading chapter 11. We'll see you then. Bye for now.